Hi, I'm John Wolf. I know this is a tough time for all of us, so I wanted to just spread a little joy around and share the story of our home birth. So, this is James, my second son, and we are super thrilled to have him. He was just born earlier this week, and it was actually a home birth. Now, we hadn't planned to do a home birth originally, but given what's going on outside, the hospitals were putting a ton of restrictions about who was going to be allowed in the room and what was going to happen. And, some of those were just really untenable for my wife and I. And my wife, this is our second kiddo. So the first one was at the hospital over at OHSU. And there was some aspects about that we didn't like in the experience. So this time we were able to find a couple certified nurse midwives, and they were able to set everything up and come help us. And I did just want to share my observation. This is my observations, not my wife's observations, of the differences between hospital and the home birth. And I do want to say I'm not giving anyone else any medical advice. And I certainly think that a hospital has an amazing variety of life-saving options for mid and high risk births. But I kind of feel like they add a ton of difficulties for low and super low risk births. And my wife's first birth would probably be considered very low, and a second healthy birth without no other conditions, I would say would be super, super low risk. So we felt really comfortable doing it at home. But anyways, I just remember the birth at the hospital. My wife started to, go into labor, and then we had to get her in the car and throw everything in the trunk and drive to the hospital. And then there's just kind of no one was being bad, but the reception is just cold. She gets asked a bunch of, standard medical questions by several different people and gets poked and tested in a bunch of different ways really quick. And then they move her into the room, and the same thing seems to happen again. And it seems like every time we turn around through her laboring process, somebody was asking her, new questions, really the same questions again and again. And that was, really disrupting her body's natural process. And it was very clear to see that, the tempo and the progression kept getting interrupted. And then, the hospital did offer different types of painkillers. And I feel like the use of that made the use of the next painkiller necessary, and the next and the next. And then we did have a healthy birth, and all was mostly good. I do believe that it would have been possible for my wife to have a better recovery if the painkillers weren't used, because they probably facilitated things like tearing and stuff like that. But then after the birth, my experience at the hospital, I mean, everybody was being good and nice and kind to us. I'm not casting shade on anybody, but we were certainly we were woken up every 2 hours, even when we all did get asleep. And we didn't have our own beds, and I was sleeping on a little bench on the side, and it wasn't fantastic. So myself, and I'm sure my wife much more so, were very exhausted after the birth itself, and then to spend another basically day getting woken up more than every 2 hours because of his wake ups, and then the nurses coming in to check and ask the same questions over and over again. It's pretty tiring, and it also felt like they drew blood a ton of times. That was probably all not really necessary. But anyways, I want you just to tell you about how the home birth went. So this time, my wife actually went into labor basically at the same time of the very, very late evening, early morning. And we called the midwives, and we inflated a little pool in the living room, or I did. My wife was, laboring. And, two midwives came in, checked my wife over really quick. One of them, helped to get everything situated. Then one of them, left, I assume, to get some sleep, which sounds like a great idea. And then, just one midwife with my wife through the entirety of the process. Didn't have to redo a bunch of extra exams, didn't have to re-ask a bunch of questions, because she was just there the entire time. And then, when things started to get really exciting, the second midwife came back to help when there were two patients again. And the whole experience was a lot better. It was interesting to observe this time that just, moving from the bathroom to the living room, which are right next to each other, and to the pool. Even that kind of slowed down the labor process, but it was so much subtler than moving between different hospital rooms. And then after the birth was complete and all the fingers and toes were checked out and perfect, the midwife just cleaned up quietly and said, checked out with my wife and said goodbye. And then we were able to sleep in our own beds, or two separate beds. And no one woke us up for no reason in the middle of the night. He did several times, but nothing extra was added onto that. And we haven't had to leave our house yet, actually, since the birth. I'm probably going to go do a shopping trip here in a minute. But I mean, the level of safety and comfort that we experienced was phenomenal. And I do want to say something pretty cool about my company, but I feel like most companies should really look into it. So I believe, and my memory could be serving me incorrectly, that the total cost of our, no surgery, no real complications, hospital worth, I think was like $19,000. Thank God we have decent insurance, didn't pay all of that, but we certainly maxed out our deductible for the year. And the midwife's entire care service was $3,800, and then there was maybe like another $500 in odds and ends I had to pay for on the side. And talking about a great company, so my company health plan did not cover home birth at all. And to their credit, I got a hold of someone at HR on a Saturday evening, and they worked through some solutions through Sunday, had me check them out. They actually didn't really exist. And then Monday morning, they asked me for the names and license info on the nurse midwives, and they literally wrote them in as a preferred provider on my health plan. So fully in network was just added for me. And that's super cool. I'm working for a great company, Caliber Home Loan, that's nimble and will do good things like that. But not just on the doing what's right for me. They saved a ton of money because Caliber Home Loans, actually, like a lot of companies, the companies hire someone else out to do the paperwork and the billing and actually come up with all the policies. But Caliber Home Loans actually pays every single dollar of the health insurance claims that are shown as paid by, I think, Blue Cross Blue Shield. But, it's actually Caliber Home Loans money. So by allowing us to do a home birth, Caliber Home Loans saved, $10,000 plus. And I don't think that anybody should be pushed to have a birth one way or the other. They should do what feels comfortable with them, where their trust lies, and what is rational for their situation. But I think that, companies could save a lot of money by offering as an option. And I think a lot of parents could have a way better experience if it is a real option that they think about. Well, anyways, please like, share, and subscribe on my channel. I mostly talk about home loans, but all the hard work that we do in our communities to make a living and run businesses and help other people out, it's all for this, because my absolute first duty is to make a good home for this little guy. Anyways, have an awesome day. Take care.